We'll call this meeting to order, our June session of the CBA starting at 6:02 p.m.
Pull the microphones up.
Okay.
I think you might want to use this one that has a cord.
Nothing.
I mean, just because then you don't have to always keep turning it on. Thank you, David.
All right, calling this June session of the EDC to order. And starting the meeting officially, oh, my watch is 6:01 or 6:01, yes, 6:01 p.m. All right, the first thing we will do is the Pledge of Allegiance. Can everyone stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now, Lori, I will turn it over to you for a roll call.
Thank you. Chair Fry,
Present.
Vice Chair Eckiarty.
Present.
Jacqueline Hunt. I know she's online.
Can you guys hear me, Lisa?
Yeah.
I cannot hear you.
Let me finish roll call.
Okay, well,
okay. Joanna Para.
Here.
David Amanor.
Present.
And Anise Zaman is excused this evening and your chair will make it.
And our announcement, you may notice we are short one person tonight. Eric sent his resignation. And it was a very nice resignation. He said how much he's enjoyed working on this council since foundation in 2018. And how hard a decision it was, but due to changing circumstances in his lifetime for him to step away. So we now have a vacancy on the EDC.
Excuse me, I didn't hear the name.
Eric.
Eric Lawson.
Yes, our former chair and our cheerleader and our survey guru. So we did some big shoes to fill with Eric. And can I call it, what are the next steps in terms of opening that?
I actually posted the vacancy on the city website under news today.
Okay,
And then I have the flyers to go in the regular places that I post, the 3 places around town. They will be posted tomorrow when I post the agendas for next week's meetings. And then next week, Therese will do a social media post. And probably at the same time, do another one for the Parks Board, because we've had a vacancy on the Parks Board since you guys gave Joanna. And
Okay.
we have not had anyone apply for that.
okay,
So this one is posted online and it will be physically posted tomorrow
okay.
on the locations in town.
So as always, if you can think of any good applicants, please reach out to them and see if we can persuade them to apply to the best commission in the city.
Oh, and then in this case, this one is a North Lights resident only position, because you've got your non-residents. Do we have?
We have 2 non-residents,
Jacqueline is one
and who's the other?
Michael, you live outside of city right now, right?
No, he's in city.
Closer now.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, well then this one can be.
Okay, all right. So, could be someone who's a business owner potentially, or someone has an interest in the city who could contribute.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
all right. Okay. So thank you, and sad to see Eric go, but hopefully we will still get to see him. He's supposed to come serve ice cream tomorrow, so maybe hopefully he'll still show up. All right, next on our agenda is public comment, and I think we have some public comment today.
I get to be your public tonight.
Welcome. Cindy first, many roles in the city.
Hello, everybody. Oh, is this on? Can you hear me? No, it's not on. Okay, that's all right, I'll yell. Good evening, everybody. I'm here on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce. We had 3 things that we wanted to ask the EDC tonight. The first one is about the passport, and I guess that's something you're gonna talk about a little bit later.
Although we do not have a lot of details, this is something that I was hoping that it. And there are any updates from Jackie or from you, maybe we could do a bit of a working conversation right now during
Okay.
our public comment. Is, I know, last person I thought about this was actually Joanna, who is interested in helping out with this. And, as we all know, we were thinking about trying to do a launch at the Ice Cream Social, and due to some unforeseen circumstances, we decided to delay that. And the thought is to maybe do a fall one, which is actually what I think we originally started talking about last October, is doing something around the fall season. So that is where we're at, and this is off the cuff here, but I proposed this during our unusual public comment, is to put together a working group, maybe with 3 of us, which is smaller than a quorum, to work on the passport program and try to do a fall launch of that.
Okay, I specifically wanted to know that because we have chamber meeting next week and I've had some questions. Because we did introduce it to the chamber several months ago, I think in February even. Okay, thank you. The second one is about the outreach. Now, I understand you've got a survey you're going to be sending out, and then you will be visiting the businesses.
And again, this is a little unusual, this is on our agenda, but in public comment, I'd like to say, so Eric was our expert on the survey, and he was not here last month, and we didn't have an update, so we're hoping to have an update this month. I did ask in an email if he could share an update, and haven't heard yet. So I should ask him, Bill, do you know anything, or is it do we need to continue following up with Eric on that?
Sorry, with it, but I could have said that, but for microphone so Jacqueline can hear better. Eric, is the one to follow up on and just kind of get some succession handover.
And maybe when we get to that section, maybe we can talk about volunteers to take over as the lead on the survey effort. So no, it has not gone out to my knowledge, which means we also haven't started any outreach.
Okay, thank you. Part of that is, I am personally, and some of the other board members are going around to businesses for another reason. And, so we're gonna just talk with businesses a little bit and take notes, and so we'll send them to you, and, you can do with them as you want at that point, okay? Since we're going anyway, we've decided that that's what we're gonna head off and do. The last thing is the Downtown Business Association. This is my understanding, is that at the end of January, Rowan pulled together the downtown business owners. And they discussed and they said they wanted to go forward with the DBA. And then they received an email from Linda Gallus Merton, who wanted to do the bylaws and get everything set up. And that was right at the beginning of February, and Herb passed away. So I kind of had to put that off to the side. I'm the chamber's representative for the DBA. And the individuals who received that email from Ms. Gallus Merton, they didn't respond. And so I've talked with many of them. They do want to go forward with the DBA. I have done some research, and the DBA, as you probably know, since you've done the bylaws, the DBA has to be under an Economic Development Commission or a Historic Preservation Commission. It cannot be on its own. That's why the chamber can't do it. Okay, it's a 501c3, but it is overseen by one of those groups. And that's the requirement of the National Main Street Association. Okay, All right,
And quick question, I was not aware that it has to be under one of those two.
right.
And so is that something that was commonly known, or is this something we?
It's in their laws. I've gone through the national website and went through to see what are the requirements. That's one. The second requirement is that the properties who are represented on the DBA all have to be contiguous. Okay, so there can't be a little piece of property in between. So that's the other issue that we're gonna have to address in looking at the map and who owns what property. For example, you've got Robinson's Florist, and then you have the city properties. And then you've got the church. And then there's the church's property, and then there's a house, and then there's sisters and stuff. Because of that house being there and being owned privately and residential, sisters and stuff could not be a member of the DBA. That just gives you an example. Okay? So we'll have to sit down and take a look at all of that. And all of that has to be part of the bylaws. So Chris Barron, who prepared the bylaws, as I understand, he has sent me a copy of those. So we're not starting from scratch. And there are a couple of other small things that are in the Main Street Association that we need to make sure are followed in the bylaws. And so that's why nothing has been seen public yet, is there are so many restrictions. And some restrictions may not be the association, but they may be the grants that come through the association. There may be some things that we couldn't, if the DBA was formed and we wanted to apply, we may not be able to apply because of a restriction in the grant. Okay. The fortunate thing is we do have two buildings on the street that are historic buildings, and the Pythians is one. You have to have something historic. I don't know, and I haven't talked to the Pythians yet, but I don't know if they have declared that a historic building or what needs to happen to make sure that it is properly declared, so it is part of the DBA.
What is the second property?
The bank, last watering hole. Okay, it could be designated as a historic building. I know it is not, okay? But the Pythian building was there before, the old bank was built. Okay. And the building has to be 100 or more years old. And so we know the Pythian building is, I think it was 14 or something like that is when it was built. So anyway, there are just little things like that we have to go through and check off and make sure that we're meeting all of the requirements of the Main Street Association. Okay, then the last thing is once the association is formed, we can then apply to the city, and the city can then put it under the Economic Development Commission if they so want to do that. Okay, so that's kind of where that has gone. And there are, unfortunately, there are small businesses, and all of them are so busy that they don't want to feel bogged down with doing the DBA business. So we're going to have to kind of jump over that hurdle a little bit, whether they bring somebody in to deal with it, with all of the paperwork and whatever. I don't know how that's going to go forward, but I envision that they will probably have a meeting toward the end of June. Okay.
And so who is organizing the meeting when they get together?
Well, at this point, I am. Because as I understood from Rowan is that she stepped back from it, and it's gonna have to be the business owners. Okay. Several of them came to me and said, what do we do? And I did the research. So, and it's taken this long just because I haven't been doing things for a couple of months. So anyway, I wanted you to know that, that that's coming. And it will take a little bit of time to pull all of that together because we want to make sure that we don't go through all of this and then not able to apply for any of the grants. Because if, for example, I didn't know you had to be contiguous. If you're not contiguous, you might as well forget it. You're not gonna get anything. So we have to make sure all of that is in place. Okay.
All right, I have a couple questions for Cindy, but the rest of the commission, questions for Cindy about these topics.
Yeah, quick question. So in terms of the DBA, can you give us some like
I'm sorry,
documentation or like some report to bring the EDC up to date on where you are?
absolutely, yeah. Like I said, I haven't done anything and now I'm stepping back in. And I'm going to go back onto their website, pull off that information. I will also be meeting with the Oregon Main Street. I don't know if it's an associate director or executive director, but I will be meeting with them to make sure we meet the Oregon standards as well. Okay.
Yeah, because that will help us to bring ourselves up to speed. And if we also have some advice to
Yeah.
bring it up accordingly.
Yeah, and I was surprised at some of the things that I read. So it was like, oh, you have to do this, oh, you have to do that. It's not just businesses. There are, the Main Street Association, if you didn't know, the National Association is formed under the National Historic Preservation Organization. It is an adjunct to that. So it deals with preservation mostly. Okay.
Other questions? All right, well, my main question is on the two of the things, on the business visit and then also on the DBA, is there any, well, first on the business visits, would you like to have any help from the EDC in those visits or any accompaniment?
Absolutely, I would like the help, but I have to tell you that I'm just doing it as I can. So saying to you, let's go and spend 3 hours and visit all these businesses, that's not happening. It's as I go into a business or as I'm going down the road and I have a little bit of time. So I would love to have the help, but we're dealing with, let's see, I think it's 60 businesses that are chamber members, plus all the businesses who are not chamber members. And the reason for this, we've got several things going on. Number one, we've got the car show at the end of July, and we want to make sure that the chamber tent has all kinds of information in there from all the businesses in town. We're also talking about putting together a welcome bag for all of the cars owners who enter. The coupons that they can spend on that day or something like that. So we're talking to businesses about that. The second thing is the Garlic Festival, same thing, we're having the chamber tent. But I don't know if you came by the chamber tent last year, but we had the Wheel of Fortune. And we put a lot of coupons on there. So again, we're going to be talking to the businesses of what they want to put on there, a coupon or a giveaway or something like that. And the last thing is we are putting together an information guide about North Plains. It will list every business in town and advertising along with highlighting the big things in town. For example, the Garlic Festival, there'll be an article in that. The history, there are like 6 or 7 subjects that will be in there as well. So that's what I'm talking to them about. But in the meantime, I'm also talking about what can the chamber do to help them, or what can the city do? Is there something the city can do? And I'll be sending that information along to the city.
Okay, and then the second question is, at this point, help that you know that we could directly give you on the DBA.
Well, I think probably if you could amongst you, I know that you're missing two people now, but maybe have one person who participates at the DBA to start with, at least during the formation. That would be helpful for the connection, but also since the nonprofit will have to be under the EDC, you may end up having to designate an ex officio to the DBA on a regular basis. So I'm just kind of guessing at this point until we get everything put down on paper.
And I did attend that first meeting. So I think
Okay,
it's
you-
a,
okay.
yeah, I think it's a great idea to have one of us
Okay.
be
All right.
involved.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how many people attended. I'm sorry I wasn't able to come that day, because it was kind of arranged shortly. But it might be helpful, I don't know, with Rowan having to do with the downtown development study. It may be helpful for her to come at a later point. Once the organization is put together, doing some planning, she may be be able to assist with them. So, pulling in the information from all over.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much for your updates, and I think we've got some action items on our side to follow up on.
All right, thank you very much. I have a 7 o'clock, so I.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you
for your
very
public
much.
comment. Lori, I guess I should ask, is there any other public comment that was?
There was
submitted?
no other
Okay.
public comments today.
All right. Given that, all right, our next agenda item is approval of minutes. Do you recall last month we did a very, very short meeting and then did a working session about the urban renewal agency and talking through what the city council could use from us. I think what we determined is what they could use is some guidance on how they should evaluate grants to in this expansion program. And I will confess, I was traveling for most of the month and did not follow up. Denise did give a submission, but we did not have a robust response to the city in terms of supplying help. But I would like to think that we could still provide that to give, if we have some ideas on direction, if anyone would still like to give some ideas to help them shape how the criteria that they use for the grant program. And actually, I'm hoping, as maybe an ad hoc thing, when we get to your update, Bill, that maybe you could give us an update on the URA meeting on Monday, and maybe our ex officio too, on what, if there are any developments. Okay. All right, so that's what our minutes were from last month, with some commentary. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes from last month? All right, if nothing, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I propose a motion to approve the minutes.
And
Second.
second, all right, it has been motioned by Vice Chair Hardy and seconded by David Omnor. If all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, not, we will approve the minutes from last month. All right, moving on to our agenda. So the first item that we included for this month was we had visitors from Explorer Tualatin Valley come in 2 months ago and give us an excellent presentation on some of the things that they offer and that they do as an association. So we had talked about coming back again as a commission and discussing what our takeaways should be from what we learned with them, and if there's some actions that we should follow up on to take advantage of the resources that they have. So I more or less just want to open it up to the commission for discussion about takeaways we have from that presentation, and if there's any actions we should do. I know there's some questions about the bike trail.
Yeah, I'd love to. This seems like such a big maneuver, and I'd love for that to be a reality. I just don't know how realistic. I was kind of thinking about it since, actually, I drove past the Mexican Trail a couple weeks ago. And I'd love to do it, I just don't know if that's even a possibility for us at this point. But I keep seeing bicyclists on the roads.
I'll say it was very eye-opening for him to talk about how many barriers they have had to getting the Salmonberry Trail extended. A little discouraging, about how long it's taken for that to go forward in our dream of having a more connected bike trail.
Would be great, Francis not that far away, it'd be great for us to connect to that, but man, to hearing what we
Yeah.
had to go through.
So the one thought I had from the discussion related to the bikes at least is that at some point Kent from Richards Ridge had come in and said that he wanted to make it something of a bike hub. So that was one thought I had that maybe we could follow up on that.
I'm
Yeah.
getting a request from you guys to speak louder.
Oh, okay, all right,
Not
I'm
hearing
sorry.
you.
I was saying the one thought I had while we were talking to Explore Charlton Valley is Kent had come in a few months ago as just an audience member and said that he had some interest in maybe doing some bike hub facilities and attractions at his property during the summer. So that's a one thought that I think we could probably follow up on and maybe could even get some kind of connection with Charlton Valley to advertise that if we were to have it. So that's one concrete idea. Yeah.
Well, I wonder, I mean, what are the requirements from the city if we wanted to do something like that? I mean, is it as simple as calling it a bike hub, or, you know, do we have to go through specific procedures to make that a reality? I guess would be my other.
And I remember, I think during the presentation, I asked a question about safety. Whether or not we have the prerequisites to, enable the bike hub. My understanding or from what I gather from the discussion, it looks like we are not ready yet, right? It will take some time. So, yeah.
All right, not that, I am willing to take that action to follow up with, I think it would be Kent and then probably Charlton Valley to see what would be required to make it a bike hub. And from the city perspective, I don't know what would be required. I guess that would be another follow-up.
And also, are we aware of the groups that come through here? Like, are they in some kind of a bike group? I was here for Michelle's on Saturday and they were having something here at the park. And it's amazing. They had a pop-up, this whole parking lot was full before the event. And I would say there's probably about 50 of them here, all on bikes, found of all ages. So, and then I got to thinking too, if only we knew kind of like who runs these groups or who schedules where they meet and what they do, because it'd be great to hear from them. What makes them meet here? Why here? What do they feel are their needs? And then from there, see where we can balance what the city and what the liability is and what the city can do versus like what Kent can help and what that hub that we can create or guide them over there to Kent. But I think it'd be great. And unfortunately that day, just because of the reason why I was coming here, it didn't work for me to go and look for somebody to talk to. But it was a huge turnout that they had, a huge group that was out there. So it would be great. I mean, imagine that's people coming into the city. I can tell that none of them were out here because this whole area was full of cars parked all the way around. So it'd be great, like if we had some kind of also guiding them to the businesses, to the restaurant. Do you know what's here in North Plains? You know,
Way back when we used to know a couple of groups, but we don't.
I have connections with them. Is that what you're saying?
Comment from Councilor Weber. I've stopped and met several of them. it's more complicated than you think. There's like 3 or 4 different groups. But they're very interested in networking. Their big issues are, they always want to go somewhere where there's restrooms. They like Jesse Nay. But there's another touring group one time and they put up a tent in the middle of downtown, just on that dirt parking area, because they didn't know where else to go. I've asked them several times, like they were right across the street from the Rogue, if they had brunch for you, would you guys, oh, we'd love that. We could pre-order, have brunch and a beer. So, and there is a person I've met. He's on one of our committees. He's a big road biker and he lives in Bryn Hill, and I have his name somewhere. And I could reach out to him to maybe reach out to you guys, but it's a little more complicated than I thought. There's quite a few different groups. So sometimes when I've stopped in Jessamy and talked to them, they're representing several different road biking groups. But the bottom line is they like North Plains. We're a very logical pass through. And everybody I've talked to said they would be interested in linking up potentially. The other nice thing about the road bikers is they all generally have money. I mean, they're a pretty, upper middle class group. They said, oh, if we could have burgers and a beer after, we'd love that. So I'll see if I can get that name and pass it on, but I think it is a great idea. I think it's got a lot of potential. Because they like North Plains.
Well, and also I know they're traveling. I think I shared a story last time. My son got off the school bus, dropped his phone. And when I found where it was out in St. John's, and I actually drove out there to get it. And the guy told me that a group of people from St. John's go over the bridge, they go over Germantown. I mean, they're definitely traveling to get here. So if we can capture that, if they're coming from all these different areas, that's gonna be huge.
Yeah, it's kind of. They like.
Or one other thing I noted down is there was some discussion, I think we did some follow-up questions about tourism sign grants. I know this has been 2 months since we talked about this, but that's one thing that raised my attention that maybe we could follow up on.
Right.
And maybe it's just a list of things that we could pose questions back to, I think Dave and Nicole, who are here, and ask them, we were interested in this topic that you brought up. Can you tell us a little bit more how we, as a community, could say apply through one of these grants?
Right, and not only that, but then what are the requirements of knowing, not just for the grants, but also I would really like that bike idea. They can promote it if we can get something going through them. That would be really neat. And so keeping those conversations going with them, I think that would be a great partner to have for that market.
Okay, I'm just looking back at my notes. They also mentioned the digital passport that they have. So that is absolutely something that we need to follow up on to see if we can leverage that as our part of our passport program. If they've already got electronic and mobile resource that they're using for their passport. All right, I think the last thing that I have, and I'm sorry, I don't want to dominate anyone else who has thoughts, is they had said one of the things we could do is to try to promote, they want experiences, I think, that we heard. It is how can we bring them in to help us with an experience, if we can have photos and a social story around it. So I'd like us to think about if there are events in the city coming up that we could use that, where we can get a little bit of advertising for our city, because it's around an experience. It makes a really good social media presence for them. I feel sad, it didn't even have any ideas that any light bulbs that went off when they talked about that.
I think we kind of talked about our social media presence for the city of North Plains. That kind of sounded like there's not a whole lot there. That'd be something I'd be willing to look into, see where we're at with that, who manages it, if there is anyone that manages it. That'd be important. Cause yeah, they did seem to talk about, like you said, just, stories instead of data, bullet points. I mean, actual experiences and stories of things that can be done in your city that make it more attractive. So I'd be willing to look at it.
All right, Okay, I'll take you up on that. And I think, go ahead.
Madam Chair, I've also been thinking about the idea of like a city marathon.
Marathon?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, do
Yeah,
that.
or maybe something that we can have like twice in a year, right? You know, but I remember I attended once, it was organized from Atfalati to. But that down here, I can't pinpoint exactly the destination, but something to improve the wellness and keep residents healthy. I think maybe we can give consideration to see if it's possible to have like is it a semi-annual marathon competition. It can bring people from other parts like Eastboro to come and register to participate. Yeah.
Councilor Weber is the right person to talk about. About running, doing sponsoring a race.
Like marathon, get a 5K.
Oh, would we want to?
That
Oh,
was.
it's an idea.
Idea to
float.
bring people.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think we're opposed to kind of exploring it. I mean, there's already things happening and maybe we would build on that because the garlic run that's now a different weekend. That's kind of a nice event. There might be a way to find something like that, but build on it. It is, we do kind of informal things, but doing a full-fledged thing is pretty serious business. You gotta get insurance and everything, but maybe we could. I don't think we necessarily care if we run it ourselves or somebody else runs as long as it's happening here. So there is a very good one the week after the Garlic Festival. It used to be linked with the Garlic Festival.
Yeah, and I think it's
maybe-
the week before,
Oh,
the
I
weekend
see.
before, yeah.
But maybe there's just some complexities. Maybe that one could be reconnected if we figured out a few things, but yeah, I'd certainly be open. I know some of those people. I think it's worth exploring.
Good.
And then you will run.
Sure, on the run.
Well, even having said that, since they do have, the ORC, I think who does the run every August in North City.
There's two main running groups, the Paula group and then the whole
ORC.
C or whatever, and they're the, but
But maybe there is something even we could get them to spend a little more time in town when they come for the race.
But are those races redundant now? Are they active, those races?
Yeah, so that one is active. It will be here in August again.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yes.
Oh, if we have one already, then I service the purpose, right?
We just need them to stay and eat breakfast or something
It's
like that.
recommended. That's how you do the partnership. It is.
Yeah.
So the race would have to end in the downtown area, and then that's how you get everybody to stay and eat there and do there and create that, staying component wherever the race ends.
That is actually something we probably should follow up on. Under the last few years, they've started out on Cottage, on the industrial part of Cottage on the west side of town, which there's nothing. There's no shopping, no places to eat, nothing like that. But there's parking, and I'm sure that's part of what drove them there. But it's an interesting thought about, could we do something to help them? And I don't know, Bill and Lori, do you know who helps with that connection with the ORC to set up the?
They submit the required permit and. Was it last year they had a whole new group,
Oh,
a whole new
yes.
board.
Mhm.
There was some extension in the ranks and the previous board. So I don't know, the permits go through Rowan and Dustin, I believe, because there's some road closures and stuff that has to go up, so, I assume they've got someone's name on the application from last year. We used to have a bike, they used to do a bike one too during Garlic Festival, but oh, really, that went about, I think, COVID stuff, okay.
there were some, if possible, I think the ideal from one person's perspective would be to possibly reconnect with the Garlic. There were some problems, but their leadership has changed. They did some things that weren't good, but it actually potentially is a wonderful deal because you run in the morning. And then part of the package would be everybody gets to eat at the Garlic Festival. Everybody gets a free beer. I mean, that's what they do at Helvetia, so it's pumping a lot of money into garlic. And then the runners are all gone by noon, which is when most of the other people come to the garlic, so it's kind of a nice companion piece if we can get past some of the things that got in the way before, but potentially it could be very helpful to the whole garlic experience.
I can at least follow up with Patty and the NPEA and find out what the challenges were with having the race the same day.
Good.
And I think that element can be advertised. I've been here, but I've never heard about the race. I like running better.
Oh, yeah, and it's a small organization, but maybe, yeah, maybe we could do something to help with. All right, those were the things that I noted from the Charleston Deli visit. Anything else people can remember that they wanted to follow up on? All right, well, I've got some action items for us to pursue. Okay, we did a passport program update already during our public comment. Unless, Jackie, do you have anything else in addition to what I mentioned?
I don't have any other updates.
All right, so I will follow up with you and Joanna and see if we can.
Yeah.
A committee together to keep working on it. Okay.
Love it.
All right, business survey update. I think we already determined as well. We don't have an update because Eric is not here. Although we did briefly mention there were some technical difficulties with the website with sending the emails out a couple months ago. Do we know if those got resolved?
We created and you can see that one place for all responses to come back to. We switched.
We switched IT companies and they're in the, oh, I see my phone. We switched IT companies. And so, let's double back and check and see if they got that processed because they kind of. Yeah, we ended up having a bizarre city phone system problem that they kind of had to focus on. And so some things have fallen through the cracks. So we'll check on that for you.
And Madam Chair.
Yeah.
In terms of the survey. So the platform and the application, everything's with Eric, right? Or do we have?
I believe so. I believe so. So we would need to have him volunteer to do a handoff. And while we're there, is there anyone on the committee who would be willing to take that on?
I mean, sorry, but what does that entail and where is the survey at and kind of, what's the kind of,
Yeah, but I thought.
maybe recap a little bit?
I know, yeah.
Sorry, I thought the first step is to try to get hold of.
All right,
Yeah.
fair enough. Okay, I won't pin anyone down to commit until we get a pass down from Eric. Okay, that's fair enough. But basically, as far as I know, and Eric can update it, the survey is written, the questions are ready to go. We were just having a challenge. And there's I think it's on Qualtrics, maybe there's a platform where it's going to be, that we're gonna use.
Set it up on a platform, but the concern was that responses were gonna come to individual emails and so that's why he asked if the city could create an NC@northplains.gov email for all survey responses to go to. And that happened right in the middle of our crossover with the IP people and we had some glitches with that with the phone system that needed to take priority, and so we get back with the new company on that. I've got a note to. So.
And then, sorry, one more question about the survey. Is it something that we're doing in person to business and only businesses? Or is it something we're emailing to the businesses and hope that they, okay.
Yes, so it would, the idea was we would start out by emailing to the businesses. We had done an initial one, I think about 6 years ago, and actually got an okay response from the businesses. So the idea was to refresh that, and it has things about, just to get some demographic data about the businesses, but also try to get some response about their biggest challenges, the things they want. And then to do a follow-up after we compiled and looked at that data about doing visits, which it sounds like Cindy is starting to do. Our ideal is to partner with the chamber and do visits, maybe based on some of the responses we get to dig deeper into some of the maybe concerns or challenges.
And does Cindy have some of these questions from that survey that if she's going out, that maybe she can pull like real one or two that are really gonna be significant or impactful?
She should, because she was involved with her, she's DS, so she should, but it doesn't hurt, maybe a refresher, reminder to her, just out it. And maybe I should ask, but just what questions specifically are you planning to ask the business?
Right, yeah.
Maybe I can ask Eric to help with them.
And during her visit, so she can remind them to try and take the survey. Because the survey will be happening.
Yeah, that's actually a really good one. Just ask her to mention it. And I'll say, I think one of our open items was, how do we encourage more participation once we finally get it sent out, so it doesn't just get lost in people's inbox? So that was one thing I don't think we really had figured
We
out.
talked about putting something in the newsletter, about just a little, or not a big article, or maybe just a little, if you're a business. Economic Development Commission sent out a survey, and we can certainly put flyers up at the 3 places that I normally do. That, let businesses know that they should be getting that in their mailbox. So, and probably social media. We can do, a push once it's out. Hey, check your mail list for the survey that should be sitting in there waiting. So.
Thank you for the refresher. We did talk about that. Yeah, does that help get you up to speed on what's supposed to happen once we get it all rolling? Yeah. Okay, but step 1, make sure we have an email address we can send it from and get it passed down from Eric about where the survey lives, and if you can share that with whoever's going to take over. All right, our next item 8, is a UGB PAC update meeting from Eric Lawson. So we may have to rely on some help from Bill in terms of an update.
Yeah, sure. So, the last UGB PAC meeting, there's been so many meetings about this. The PAC was basically just kind of given, some different maps of different initial, potential UGB concepts regarding, where employment land might be located, where residential land might be located if the city were to expand the urban growth boundary. And the emphasis was on figuring out where employment uses could go relative to residential uses, and how those uses could kind of connect or relate to each other. Because when we had the neighborhood meetings back in the fall, the big concern we heard, particularly from the Sunset Ridge neighborhood meeting, was we really don't want to look out our back window and see buildings, and we're really not keen on things being bunched up on us. Besides just kind of different concerns about things. So the emphasis of the different scenarios, the different maps, to kind of take a look at different ways that uses could kind of be near each other. That was mostly kind of in a nutshell what they talked about. And then we had a community meeting last night here to kind of go over that and get people sitting at tables and talking about it, and that's same exact maps. And so they kind of chatted about it, and they kind of summed up with what the table thought, what they liked, what they didn't like, and kind of just got to say whatever they like. So that's kind of where that was.
All right, what are next steps with that input from last night?
Next step from last night, well, the consultants are gonna take what they heard and go back to the technical advisory committee, which were planners, utilities, kind of the nuts and bolts people, planning law, all that fun stuff. And they're gonna reflect what they heard and put that into revised different concepts, and that'll go before the public advice, the PAC, kind of for new kind of discussion to see what people think. And then, it's worth mentioning that on June 10th, the city council and the city council and planning commission are gonna have a joint work session to kind of go over, what the process has been and what's been heard and just kind of talk about it. So that's coming up as well. So that would be next week on the 10th, Wednesday.
And do we need to represent a new EDC attendee for that PAC meeting?
Yes, each of the boards and commissions has a representative. Eric was yours, so you all should probably discuss and decide on a new representative.
Any volunteers who, and it's near the end of the process, I believe. One meeting left, is that all?
There's one public advisory committee meeting left. There's still some, kind of public involvement, citizen involvement work that's still to be done. But there's only one public advisory committee meeting left.
So the commitment that we know of at this point would be attending one more public advisory meeting. Was there anyone from the commission who'd be willing to volunteer to do that?
When is it and what time?
Did you not have an alternate? Did you not decide on an alternate?
Not that I remember.
Okay, some of the boards and commissions decided on a primary and alternate, and so I couldn't remember if you had one or not, because if you had an alternate, then that would make sense potentially. I'd have to look at the schedule. It's not for a number of weeks, but it would be 6 o'clock, probably on a Thursday here at Jesse Mays.
I could probably do that.
Thank you. All right. Mike is down for being our PAC representative for that final meeting. Thank you. All right, and now moving on to item 9, any staff updates to share with us?
Staff updates, I guess, on the topic of what you discussed earlier, the URA board are working on a couple of big things. The first thing that's going on is the 5-year strategic plan. They have a consultant, Tiberius Solutions, that's kind of reviewing. They spent the last month reviewing kind of all of our documents, past projects, how much money the URA has spent compared to how much it's allowed to spend over its lifetime. And they reported, kind of gave a report on really kind of everything the URA has done over the years, different projects. Are they complete? Are they in progress? Are they partially complete? Haven't been started yet? Just kind of a scan of all that. Went over the different goals and objectives in the plan and what guides, what kind of projects that the URA can do. And then talked about the maximum indebtedness for the URA, for the Urban Renewal Agency. And the maximum indebtedness is simply how much property tax money can be spent over the lifetime of a urban renewal plan. And out of about, I believe, 11 or 12 million, the agency's spent to date a little over 5 million. So there's still a lot of capacity to take on more projects. And so what was discussed is very initially, preliminarily, if the URA board would like to make a minor amendment, would like to make an amendment, I can't remember if it's minor or substantial, but either way, if the URA board wants to make an amendment to the plan and change the boundary, what have you, to create a bit more capacity, that could go up to feasibly about 17 million, as I recall. And again, it's only spent a little over 5 to date. So there's a lot of capacity to do projects is the bottom line. That was the finding. And then let's see, yeah, so then in June, they're gonna come back after doing kind of a study of the probably, next 5 years cash flow for the agency. And then that kind of gives an idea of kind of the real resources in versus what can be spent, so that the board can prioritize what, identify projects or identify new projects and make amendments so that those are the things moving forward that the URA directly addresses over the next 5 years. So that's the next step. That's at their July meeting, actually. So July 6th, Monday.
And was there any finalization on a new grant program?
That was the next one. Not really. So, before the 5 year strategic plan really kind of became a big business item, we had presented to the Rowan, and I, primarily Rowan, doing a lot of the heavy lifting on the kind of looking at the programs. Came up with kind of a framework for a new potential program that is a little more broad regarding the kind of different property challenges, improvement challenges that different properties have, not so much business type based, but property issue based. So if you're a restaurant, or if you don't have to be a restaurant, you can be a this or you can be a that, and you qualify potentially for a grant, maybe a loan, depending, based on the property you have and the issue you have with your property, not you're a this or that type of business. And that's modeled more after how some urban renewal agencies are doing it more broadly. So that hasn't been finalized. That will be brought back to the board probably, I would say probably July. We just weren't able to make a bunch of progress on it with Rowan at different trainings and out quite a bit during the month of May. So anyway, that's still, I wouldn't say up in the air, but that plane will land pretty soon, I would say.
So we can still send some feedback. It sounds like.
Yeah, actually.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
All right, good since we were a little behind on that.
You did not have that backup. I went back through the minutes.
Okay.
And so it was Eric volunteered and there
Oh,
wasn't
thank you.
even discussion of having a.
We just assumed he'd always be around. and we'd
Yeah.
go.
Wow.
So I.
And he
will let,
did.
Appropriate people know that Mike is the new representative.
Thank you. But you are welcome to pick an alternate
Back of them.
while it's being discussed.
Backup to the backup, yes. Yes.
All right, I think we are on to our ex officio updating comments. Ex officio, anything you'd like to share with us?
The main things I would have commented on, the UGB update, Bill has done a good job of covering that, and the other one was the Urban Renewal Agency. Bill did a good job of updating that. Just one really nice event I was able to attend as city council, that Cindy's gone now, but Cindy Hurst just did a wonderful job with the memorial celebration. It was really well done, and probably the most touching part, there was a 102-year-old man, and he served in World War II, which is just amazing because my dad has been passed away for quite a long with World War II also. So this guy was like 17 when he's there, and now 100, he's talking about it clearly. We understood his stories. That was very touching to hear from him, and then all the other military that were there. It was a very, very well done, very nice event. The other event that's not quite as serious, but is a lot of fun, Lisa's helping with tomorrow night. You want to be there
Thank you.
for music and ice cream. If you haven't volunteered, talk to her. I've been training extensively for ice cream scooping because it's very important to get big scoops to people. So I
Yes,
train.
the EDC has kindly committed to help at 7 o'clock tomorrow, so yes, so thank you so much. And actually, Jonah, you're coming earlier with the planning commission at
Yes.
6:30. So we should have, I think everyone, other than Jackie has a conflict, but everyone from EDC will be there helping out.
You need cake, so people.
Yes, that would be really
Come
nice.
to you.
Yeah, so get some good
Especially.
public relations for what we do.
You like stuff people in every 30 minutes, right?
Yes, so I, hopefully that's a pretty short shift, so if we have any gaps, you're welcome to stay a little longer.
Look at the weather, hopefully it won't be ice cream soup like it was last time.
It looks better tomorrow.
Like the last time.
Yeah.
It was great too, I mean.
Oh, yeah,
The ice cream kept me
it
up.
was liquid, yeah. So thank you for the,
70 degrees tomorrow, actually sounds like.
It'll be
it should be good,
A little bit overcast and
yeah.
2% chance of rain.
Should be good music and good chance for the city to meet with the residents. All right, thank you. Anything else? All right, okay, members, anything else you want to bring up? Okay, Bill, Lori, anything else? All right. Keeping our efficiency going, we will
Wait,
call.
just a minute.
Oh, wait.
July meeting discussion.
Well, most
yes.
important thing.
I put that on there because in the
Thank
past,
you.
you guys have chosen to take the month of July off because it falls right around the 4th of July and there were some people gonna be out of town. And so I just always put it out there. It's you guys' decision, so.
Commission? Any objection?
First, I will be out.
You'll be gone.
Yeah.
All right. We know we'll be missing at least one member. Any objection to canceling our meeting for July? And keeping with tradition? All right, no objection. Yes, let's cancel our July meeting due to how close it is to the holiday. And we will just all meet at the ice cream social and fun events hopefully around the city instead. Okay, now we will officially call the meeting to a close for June EDC at 7:03 PM.
Thank you all.
Thank you. I hope you heard some.
Well,
Yes,
the
I
report-
did. Thank you.